Good morning, students. Today we will begin another novel of our syllabus, Wuthering Heights. It's a novel by Emily Bronte, and I'm deliberately keeping my speed slow so that you can note it down if you want. So, if we look at the time of publication, Wuthering Heights was published in 1847. Historically speaking, 1847 was the age which we known as Victorian age in the history of English literature, but romantic tendencies were not totally out at this time. So it's a time when romantic age was coming to an end, and was Victorian tendencies were coming up in literature. So this is a novel by Emily Bronte, and Emily Bronte she wrote this novel uh, under the name of Alice Bell, what we call pen name. You know, one is real name, and then sometimes you assume a secondary name to uh, write or to hide your identity. That is your pen name. So Bronte wrote this novel under her pen name. What was her pen name? Alice Bell. Let me share screen with you so that you can have uh, so this is okay. I hope you are able to look at this slide. Okay, so this novel is by Emily Bronte, and Emily Bronte she was an English novelist. We all know. In fact, all the three Bronte sisters are famous as writers. And we come to know that Emily and her sisters they were not given a chance to get proper education. So a tutor come to their home to teach them, and almost they were you can say self-educated or they were taught at home. So Emily was Alice Bell. Her pen name was Alice Bell. Charlotte Bronte was Gerard Bell, and her sister Anne was Acton Bell. They were the names. If we talk about Wuthering Heights, then Wuthering Heights is an example of romantic literature because there are many romantic influences which are woven into the fabric of Wuthering Heights. Uh, the novel is also known as Gothic novel. You know, when we talk about the genre of novel, what kind of novel it is, then we can say it is a Gothic novel. Otherwise, if we consider time of publication, 1847, then it's a Victorian novel. So, Wuthering Heights is basically a combination of many ideas. If we talk about the basic structure of the novel, we have to keep in mind that there are many characters in the novel, and we will be able to understand these characters. It's missing. Okay. Okay, it's not working anyway. The characters are Heathcliff. After Heathcliff, we have Catherine. They are the main characters, main protagonists of the novel. And in fact, you should draw. uh, a diagram of these characters. You will work like uh, take a register and write down on one hand, write down Anshaw family, Earnshaw, Anshaw family. On second hand, there is Linton family, Linton, Linton family. There are two families in the novel. They are living at two different places. One family is violent, but you can say Anshaw family is comparatively violent, and Linton family, that is comparatively a calm family. Okay, if we just come to Anshaw family, there are two children in the family, Mr. and Mrs. Anshaw, their mother and father. There are two children, Hindley and Catherine, and Mr. Anshaw, when he goes on a trip, he brings a child named Heathcliff. So Heathcliff is the third child in the family who is adopted. He is not their natural son. If we come to Linton's family, we find here also there are two children. Edgar is the son of the family, and Isabella, she is the daughter of the family. So basically, Wuthering Heights is the story of these two families, of these two places who live at different places in the novel. Both the families they have two natural children. Ancho family they have Hindley and Catherine. Linton family they have Edgar and Isabella. And Heathcliff is the adopted son of Mr. Ancho. So first generation Ancho and Linton family. Second generation Heathcliff, Catherine, Hindley, Edgar and Linton. And then during the course of the novel, Hindley marries Francis. He has a son Hareton. Catherine, she marries Edgar. They have a son. Sorry, they have a daughter called Kathy or Junior Catherine. And Isabella marries Heathcliff. They also have a son, Linton. So that is the third generation. Uh, this Anshaw family, it lives in Wuthering Heights. The name of the place is Wuthering Heights. And Linton family, it lives in Thrushcross Grange. So, in rough sense, you can say that this novel is the story of what happens in these two families, or in other words, you can say it is the story of three generations. At first generation, we have Mr. Anshaw, Mr. Linton, or you can say Anshaw family and Linton family. In second generation, we have this Edgar, Heathcliff, Catherine, uh, in fact, children of Anshaws and Lintons. And in third generation, we have a daughter of Catherine, son of Heathcliff, and son of Catherine's brother. These are the major characters in the novel. Now, what the novel talks about? The novel it talks about in rough sense we have already said that it's a story of two families. It is about two families. But what happens within the family? How they bring up their children? and what kind of individuals they turn into, the children turn into. The novel talks about many things at a time. For example, we can say that the novel is about basic human nature. Basic human nature, Bronte shows that in this world we have both good and evil, and they coexist together. Even in one person, you can find something which is good. There may be something bad in his or her behavior which we can dislike. So we can see that good and evil, they are part of human nature or human beings or human personality. And this conflict between good and evil, it has been one of the oldest thing in human history. From the beginning of, you can say, life, there is both good and evil in humans. The clash of good and evil has always been favorite theme of writers. For example, you must have read Hamlet in your paper of drama. There also it's clash between good and evil. So, if we talk about your paper of poetry, Milton's Paradise Lost, there also there is clash between good and evil. So, in this novel, the basic thing we see uh, is that novel is about clash between good and evil. Now there is a critic, Hilda de Spear. She says that this novel has not one theme. She says that the novel is a complex lattice. Do you understand lattice? Lattice is a complicated design. It's a design, woven structure. So Spear says that Wuthering Heights is a complicated lattice. Means it doesn't have one idea or one thing. Rather, it's a mixture of, it's a beautiful design of many ideas. We can say that this novel is about love because the novel shows love of Catherine and Heathcliff. We can say that this novel is about jealousy. The same Heathcliff who loves Catherine becomes jealous in the novel. The novel is about revenge. Heathcliff wants to take revenge of ill treatment which he faced in Ansho's family. So, novel is about revenge also. So, these three things, love, jealousy, and revenge, they are also basic human emotions, and we all have these feelings. So, the novel is about basic human instincts, what you can say, love, jealousy, and revenge. Now, uh, the novel is also about loss and desire. As a human being, we all have desires with us. We want something, that's our desire. If somehow we are not able to get that thing, that is loss. So, this novel is about loss and desire at one hand. Then, during the process, uh, or during the action of the novel, you will find that Heathcliff, in his desire to take revenge, he becomes violent, he becomes cruel, uh, almost wild. You can use the word wild. He is almost wild, and wild is associated with animal instincts. So we can say that the novel also talks about cruelty, violence, feelings of fear, feeling of drunkenness. So all these things are also shown in the novel. So these are also the theme of the novel. Okay, we have said that the novel is about basic human instincts. We have said that this novel is about basic human nature. It is about good and evil. It is about love, jealousy, and revenge. It is about cruelty, violence, fear, and drunkenness. Uh, Now, there is another aspect that as a parents, you bring up your children during that course. You impart different values to your children, and we can say that our children, they are a manifestation of how we educate them. So this novel is also about education. Which education? Which we get at home from our parents. So this is about education. Then there are many supernatural events in the novel which give it a gothic structure. These events, they run parallel into the novel. Uh, so with all these ideas in our mind, we can say that this novel has both personal and social issues woven together in the story. The theme of the novel is personal as well as social. We can see from another point of view that man basically is wild. He wants freedom, and society or family, it educates him, it keeps him controlled. You know, you want to do many things and your parents will tell you that you are not allowed to do this, you are not allowed to do that. So it is about the untamed nature and conventions of society. uh, these are some of the ideas presented in the novel. After introducing the basic framework of the novel, let us move towards the characters one by one. Uh, okay, let me begin with the list of characters. Uh, I'm going to share screen with you. It's taking some time. Note down these characters. The first important character in the novel is Heathcliff. Heathcliff is an orphan. Mr. Ancho, he goes on a trip, and somehow he finds Heathcliff, and he becomes sympathetic to that child and brings him home. When Heathcliff comes to Ansho's family, he has a very special bond with Mr. Ansho's daughter Catherine. When Mr. Ansho dies, his son he Hindley basically he does not like Heathcliff, and after his father's death, he becomes the owner of the family, and he treats him as not only as a servant, but treats him in a bad manner. Uh, Hindley and Catherine, they both live at Wuthering Heights. Wuthering Heights is the name of place where they live, and Heathcliff feels humiliated. But since he is powerless, he is poor, he is orphan, he is dependent on Anshos, so he cannot do anything. He loves Catherine, and there is a lot of description in the novel how when they are young children they uh, go to moors for playing different kinds of game, and he doesn't like their playing with each other. Heathcliff develops into a powerful man, a strong man, in fact cruel as well. And in the course of novel, he acquires a lot of money and power so that he can control Wuthering Heights, where he was treated as servant. Opposite to Wuthering Heights, there is another house or another place which we call Thrushcross Grange, and Linton's family lives there. Okay. Next character in the novel is Catherine. She is daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Anshaw. She is in love with Heathcliff, but somehow she is unable to marry Heathcliff. Catherine is shown as a complex character. She is free spirited, she is beautiful, she is in love with Heathcliff, she is arrogant, and she is almost as wild as Heathcliff, but she marries Linton. There is an episode in the novel when she is lost due to bad weather. This Edgar and Catherine, sorry, Hinley and Catherine, they are lost, and they went to Linton's family, and if this Henley and Catherine, they are children of storm. They are violent. These Lintons, they are very calm, and their Linton's family treats so well. Catherine is impressed, and she somehow married Linton. So who is Linton? Another character in the novel, Edgar Linton. Edgar Linton is son of Mr. and Mrs. Linton. He is an ideal gentleman. He is impressed with Catherine. If Heathcliff represents the wild, the uncultured, the savage qualities in human beings, this Linton represents a civilized, gentleman, pleasant uh, type of man. So Linton, in a sense, Edgar Linton, in a sense, is a foil to Heathcliff. Foil means one who is exactly equal and opposite. Uh, Another important character in the novel is Nellie Dean. Her full name is Ellen Dean. She is the narrator in number one. We see many events through the eyes of Nellie Dean, or we hear incidents from her. She is a house help. She is a maid in Wuthering Heights. She has also worked at Thrushcross Grange. So uh, she has a clear idea of both the families. She can understand the events. She is able to explain them objectively to the readers. So Nellie Dean is the narrator. Another narrator is Rockford. Uh, then another important character is young Catherine. Uh, she is daughter of Catherine and she is referred as young Catherine. So you just write and go through all these characters. In the next lesson, we will be talking about these third generation names like Emshaw and Linton family first generation. We have talked about Heathcliff and Edgar, Catherine, they are second generation, and we will talk about these third generation characters in the next class. Okay.